Coach, were you at all hesitant when you put in Kevin Thompson? And well, I'm sure you saw what he could do in practice, but would you?
No.
Knowing that he hadn't played at all?
No, I mean he had a great week of practice. He's very athletic. He's very strong. He was a switchover from linebacker to defensive end. He's got great speed and he is physical, and it's a hard changeover to make. And so I was actually antsy the other way, trying to find opportunities that he could help our defense. He's so athletic. So as soon as we kind of came up with that, JP said, "How about Kevin?" I said, "Great idea," and he was able to back up Cameron and do a great job. He could have played more, but Cameron was, if he would have had to, and we didn't skip a beat when he was in there. And that's saying something about Kevin, because that position in the game had to check our fronts. It had to be aware of when they motioned the back into the backfield. We went from an empty check to a regular defense. He had to make all those calls. So for a young guy, and never get in the way of my camera again, Sipple. For a young guy, he just did a great job with that. We had no bus on that call. That was a lot on his plate,
How quickly did he adjust to playing on the defensive line? Obviously, you said that he made a switch.
It takes time to go from a 2-point to a 3-point stance, and he's only going to get better. And I think it'll probably take another off season before he's really reaching his potential at that position. But
he's a guy that waited 4 years to even get on the field. I mean, is that kind of an example that you never know when your number is going to get called in your defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we have a lot of interchangeable parts, and it's what our program hopefully is about. It's about guys who just work hard and earn opportunities for themselves. And as a coach, you just have to reward those guys for that kind of investment, and so you look for and seek opportunities to reward them. And as hard as he's worked and he deserved an opportunity, and so it was great. It felt great to give him one.
What have you liked about Courtney Osborne's progress and just the confidence to put him in that game?
Courtney's money. I mean, you watch him through the course of a week of practice. There aren't very many mental mistakes, and he's a very physical tackler. And you put those two things together, and like I said after the game, I mean, sometimes as a coach you just become complacent, just playing the guys you've been playing. But again, if you're going to preach competition, and then you've got to reward guys and give other guys opportunities at certain times. And Courtney certainly earned the opportunity and made the most of it, as did Austin. People
kind of made a big deal about the fact you played in one of the biggest games of the year. You play Courtney, you play Austin Cassidy, and you play Kevin Thompson, guys who hadn't played as much. But did you even hesitate to put those guys?
No, I mean, you just put the guys out there you feel are going to give you the best chance to win, regardless of experience. And shoot, I remember looking up in the Big 12 championship game last year and watching Austin Cassidy out there. So our guys are ready. I mean, it's up to you to prepare them, and to them, I mean, they may not be real experienced in Memorial Stadium or at this level, but they've played an awful lot of football in their lives, and once that game starts, it's just another football game. You just got to prepare them.
Oh, talk a little bit about depth, and some of this might tie into exactly what you're saying, but if the handcuffs come off you guys a little bit, and options or things you can do because you got 24, 25 guys you feel comfortable with now?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can get a little bit creative, and you've got some versatility. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Gomes and Hagan. They're very versatile players, but so is Cameron Meredith, so is Kevin Thompson, so is an Eric Martin, so is Levante. So, you can be more creative when you got guys who can play multiple positions like that. So, yeah, depth lends itself to creativity, that's for sure.
Carl, I think last spring you mentioned that it was going to be real difficult for any true freshman to get on the field defensively this year with as much depth as you had coming back. What did Ciante Evans do to put himself in the position to be where he was Saturday?
I think he paid Courtney to hit Alfonso, is what I think. So, no, you know, they come in when camp starts and they're at the bottom of the depth chart. And we tell every one of those guys, you're on the depth chart and you're not redshirting. You have to earn an opportunity to move up that depth chart. And that's what he did, just slowly but surely throughout camp. He moved himself into a number 2 position and really became the 3rd corner. Other guys, you know, that do redshirt, they don't quite get to that level. So he just worked hard at it. He's a real talent, but at the same time, he's got a good understanding of football. He was well coached in high school. He played with good technique coming in and had a certain swagger and savvy about him. He's a very confident guy.
How does his progression as a first-year guy compare to what you saw out of Prince and Alfonso the first year that you worked with those 2?
Very similar to Alfonso. You know, Prince was making a position switch. That's a little more difficult. Ciante was a DB and saw himself as a DB. So he came in with a certain skill set, much like Alfonso did. So I'd say his rise and Alfonso's were very similar.
What was the most impressive thing you saw from him on Saturday, Ciante?
He just loves playing football, you know, and I was just impressed with the way he handled himself. He just played football. He played with his technique. He wasn't enamored or starstruck. He just played football, and that's not easy for a rookie to do, you know, in a big game like that.
Well, what about, Carl, I'm sorry, what about this offense that you're facing, maybe compared to the one you just faced? Obviously, they have an experienced quarterback as well, one that's played pretty well.
They're very different offenses. I mean, you can't even compare the 2. Iowa State, very experienced quarterback, has as good an offensive line as we faced, I think. I mean, they've got 3 guys back, and they use them well. They're very, very disciplined. They're very patient. They run their offense, and they execute, and you've got to stop it. They're not going to try and fool you a whole lot. They do give you a lot of different formations and whatnot, but they just try to be physical at the point of attack, and they're very patient in how they call the game, and they eat up yardage and they eat up clock as they do it, and that's going to be a big challenge for us. I think it's a well thought out offense. It's well coached, and they execute very well. They don't make many mistakes, that's for sure.
Defensively, do your guys feel like your guys, would you like them to find any motivation at all in this game from the fact that Iowa State came in here and won last year?
Oh, I don't know. That's up to them individually. You know, to me, this is another year and 2 different teams facing each other. So I got enough to worry about without that.
How frustrating was that game last year, though, looking back on it?
I can't remember. I don't remember it.
Coming off a pair of games against ranked teams, and Iowa State obviously not ranked, still a good team, but when you're coming off a couple games like that, is it hard to prevent against a letdown? How do you coach them to not let down?
You know, I think the harder you try to prevent it against a letdown, the more chance you have to have a letdown. You know, I think we just try to go business as usual, and Monday's no different whether you had a big win or a terrible loss, and you just move forward and focus on the next opponent. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but I do think that's the key. If you're always up and down and trying to worry about the psychology and changing the way you do things, you know, I just think you end up messing with your players' heads. Our guys are into a routine now. Monday is Monday, Tuesday is Tuesday, and so forth, and you just stick to it that way and move forward.
I know it's only been 1 day, but are you curious to kind of see how Ricky and PJ respond to being replaced as starters, and kind of how that battle goes this week at safety?
I know how they'll respond. They responded well. I mean, they're trying to win their positions back, and maybe they will. And then the other guys got to fight to get it back. I mean, that's what you want on your football team, that's for sure. That's what depth gives you.
Were you substituting a little more on the D-line Saturday than other games?
I was, but not, yes, I was. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, as a defensive line, is a place where you want to have a lot of substitution. We've got more depth now, but I tell my guys, you earn it during the week. And they had a good week of practice before Texas, and they got their snaps. And then Oklahoma State, they had a good week of practice, and they got more snaps. And then they had another good week of practice last week, and they got even more snaps. So they continue to earn their snaps. They're going to continue to get them. Makes for a much happier meeting room, and I think everyone, it's good for everybody, them, the whole team, me, everybody. So, but again, we're not gifting anything. They got to earn their snaps during the week.